Good morning. I'm Bear from the internet. As you're very likely aware, this morning we're going to do the brief. We're talking about fifth generation warfare, aka some cyber attacks going on, the fair tax bill in the House, and some national intel sent in by y'all. As always, today's show is brought to you by refugemedical.com. More on that later in the show. And if you're new here, subscribe, ring the little bell icon. If you're not here, you know what to do. Share the show with somebody you love. Now, typically I'd be talking into this microphone over here, but this microphone over here doesn't want to cooperate. So now I'm talking into this microphone over here. So hopefully it's working. If it's working, give me a little 5x5 in the chat and let me know. If it's not working, it's Friday. We're just going to shut it down. Y'all can read the brief on Patreon. Sound good? Sound good. Okay. 5x5. Thanks, Monica. Fabulous. Bear Independent Brief, 13JAN23. In the last month, several hospitals have experienced continued disruptions to operations because of cyber attacks. Central State Medical Center in New Jersey, Hospital for Sick Children, and Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Barbados were all victims. Central State diverted patients to other hospitals and switched operations from digital to paper, but officials claim patient care was not affected. If it's already terrible, how much worse can it get? The Hospital for Sick Children recovered only 50% of its systems a full 11 days after the attack, and Queen Elizabeth Hospital had to make temporary changes to its pharmacy and postpone many scans, x-rays, and ultrasounds, and its emergency department has experienced delays. Des Moines, Iowa had to cancel public school classes on Tuesday this week after a cyber attack. Teachers pointed out that the modernization and digitization of teaching methods means that cyber attacks can severely disrupt day-to-day education by cutting off access to online teaching materials. I think the internet's cool. We're on the internet right now. I also think you should have books, especially if you're a school. I'm also not a huge fan of the fact that a lot of schools now require all of the children to have Google accounts from the time they're like itty bitty. Because we're just, what's the number one product on the face of the earth? Data. Number two product? People. Yeah, by the numbers. So let's not instantly attach data to our people. I'd totally be cool with that. And the schools in many cases don't see the ramifications, the implications of that at all, because they're set up with grants that come in, so they get tablets, and then they're on the Google G system, and then you log into the school thing with your email account as a student, so everybody gets a Gmail address and blah 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 blah. And it's like, maybe let's not do that horse shit. Maybe let's not do that. Maybe we'll just take out your books and read with your eyeballs. Okay, I don't know why the kids have so much ADD this day. They literally look at screens all day at school. Has anybody thought about that? The Des Moines Education Association president Josh Brown pointed out, quote, lack of interest impacts teaching and learning at a high level. I'm sorry, lack of internet, although interest would certainly harm the learning environment as well. Lack of internet impacts teaching and learning at a high level in a way that hasn't, maybe historically. But our classrooms rely more and more on technology that is internet-based or connected to our network in some way, end quote. Yeah, well, we know. It's not just an inconvenience, though. In 2019, the attack on a school district in Mills County demonstrated that hackers could access personal information of the children, like schedules, contact information, and demographics information. So stay involved with your kids. Oh, good morning. It's my wife, the mighty blue hammer Hami Biscuits of the Wrench in the chat. Good morning, sweetheart. Audio's 5x5, says John T. Block. CB says it's messed up. I agree it's messed up. Stay involved with your kids. They're not property of the state. They're not property of Google. They're property of your household until such a time as they grow wings and fly away into adulthood. Across the pond, after weeks of disruption due to strikes, Royal Mail has now been experiencing, quote, severe service disruption, end quote, due to a cyber incident of its own. Letters and parcels intended for overseas were still at a standstill as of Thursday. The National Cybersecurity Center and the National Crime Agency began investigating, and once again, the culprit appears to be Lockbit. a ransomware group believed to have ties to Russia, aka asymmetric warfare due to the NATO war in Ukraine, which is in part being supplied by the same people who use Royal Mail to deliver their parcels. Do you even Great Britain, bro? Overall, the sectors seeing a huge spike in cyber attacks are the financial, healthcare, and energy sectors. And the good news is modern society doesn't need any of these sectors at all. We don't need the financial sector. We don't need healthcare at all, not even a little bit. And we definitely don't need energy sectors at all. You can get your own horse-drawn carriage and donkey from bearindependent.com for $1,995. I will sell you blueprints on how to build your own horse-drawn wagon to survive the apocalypse with. It's going to be great. Trust me. Actually, don't go there. That's a bunch of horse shit. It doesn't exist. Concerns include the compromise of personal data and even potential deaths. You think so? Yeah, because you hack the healthcare system. I would imagine that potential deaths are a certain potential fallout of potentially being hacked. Josephine Wolf, an associate professor of cybersecurity policy at Tufts University, said that securing a critical infrastructure plays a key part in mitigating cyber risks. For sure. Let's digitize everything. Remember the Internet of Things? That's probably not going to happen super duper soon because the chips for the Internet of Things come from places like China and Taiwan, and you know they're a little hullabaloo going on over there. And also, nobody has any money right now because apparently we're in a recession, so we don't care if the toaster will sing to you because we don't have bread to put in the toaster, right? Because the dollar's all jacked up, and every chip, every Bluetooth antenna, all of it is a vector for attack. All of it. You guys, you should do yourself a favor. Do yourself a favor and Google the phrase war driving. War. W-A-R. Whiskey, Alpha, Romeo. War driving. Yeah. This doesn't mean we get all kitted up and we stand up behind the 50 in the back of the technical. No. Every antenna you have. I don't have any antennas, Bear. I'm not into ham radio. You got a cell phone, which has a GPS antenna, an RF antenna, a Wi-Fi antenna, a Bluetooth antenna. How many of them you got? You got that Alexa Pro thing sitting on the, in the living room or in the kitchen. It's got an antenna. Right, the toaster that sings to you has an antenna. All these things, every single one of them is a vector for attack, and that's for your household, not for global infrastructure. So, there's no big deal. 3 prime sectors likely to be attacked via asymmetric warfare, 5th generation warfare, financial, healthcare, and energy sectors. We're fine. Thank you, Michael Martinez. Good morning. Appreciate you. Super chats are the bomb, by the way. I like it when you guys do that. And it's not because the $5 is going to severely impact the quality of my life. It's because I appreciate that you show enough to give me $5. That's very cool of you. Also, that'll buy you a month's worth of Patreon right there. That one $5 bill. But this morning on Patreon, we talked about if I didn't have a homestead, what would I be doing to get prepped right now, right? If I didn't have a homestead, because let's be frank, the vast majority of you don't have a homestead. What would I be doing right now? Well, Bear, why do you put it behind a paywall on Patreon? You should give it away for free on YouTube. I have for 5 years. And now the really juicy stuff, the really cool stuff, it's over on Patreon. While the Biden administration has been working to address the rising cyber threats, experts and politicians alike are calling for much more action and fast. Unfortunately, the labor shortage is impacting the cyber sector as well. Even the Department of Homeland Security was only able to hire for 2/3 of cyber and IT jobs, leaving a gaping 1/3 of such positions empty. The good news is the tech sector is laying off all of their people, so the government can just tax us more and take that money to hire all the people from the tech sector that have been laid off to fill their IT and cybersecurity positions, and that definitely won't be any kind of collusion at all, even a little bit. It'll just, just Helping people help people right there. Okay, Bear, good talk. Now, before we get into national level intelligence, couple of things. Happy Preparation Day. Thank you, Mark Chase. I appreciate you. Mark Chase been here a long time. This, the Bear Fact, is in stock at refugemedical.com. Shipping super duper fast. In stock means we have it. It's $269 hairs. It will save your life. 61 lives saved to date. You could buy a mediocre piece of shit kit made in China by somebody else, or you could buy a real one made in America by Americans. It'll actually save your life. It's entirely up to you. If you feel like dying when you use your first aid kit, we're not for you. Refuge is the wrong company for you. If you feel like not dying when you use your first aid kit, we got you, boo. From reason.com. Oh, what's the URL? refugemedical.com. Promo code BearNation for free shipping. Okay, Bear. All right, okay, good talk. Really appreciate it, Bear. Oh, okay, you're welcome. You're the best, Bear. Simmer down. Take it down a notch. From reason.com. House Republicans want a vote on fair tax. Is it worth supporting? Probably. When Representative Kevin McCarthy, R-Calif, Republican from California, finally secured the votes necessary to become the next House Speaker, it required concessions to dissenters within his party. Members of the House Freedom Caucus demanded, among many other things, a vote on the Fair Tax Act, which has been introduced in the current session. The Fair Tax Act, while likely doomed by a Democratic Senate and White House, Biden has already said, I'll veto it. To which I say, Auf Wiedersehen, disappear, old man, eat ice cream in silence somewhere else. Leave this damn country alone. We've been through enough. We've been through enough. I had to deal with Clinton, and then I had to deal with W, and then I had to deal with Obama. And then we had the whole Trump debacle. There was a global war on terror on there. People flew planes into buildings. 3,000 people died. It was horrendous. And then we did this 20-year war where we just waltzed away from Afghanistan. And then Klaus Schwab got everybody sick with the flu and shut down the global economy and used that to put people in jail and weld people inside of buildings. And now people are dying because they got 5-foot-long clots inside of their veins because, they're safe and effective, limits transmission, right? And now I got to deal with Biden too. Like, this is like an abusive relationship. I'm not a fan, man. Quit punching me in the face and tell me you love me at the same time. I'm not a fan. So Biden should 100% just go away. I'm not saying like, warheads on foreheads. I'm saying just fade into the background. Oh, but then Kamala would be president. Okay, fade into the background. Whatever. Next. I'm just ready for next. Whatever it might be. I don't know. Peaceful, unpeaceful. T-Rexes. If T-Rexes are an option, I will take T-Rexes. If we could get T-Rexes in downtown D.C., I saw a thing, Dudley posted it in a chat yesterday, like, maybe the reason we're in a super deep rabbit hole right now, and I don't care because it's Friday. This is what you get on Friday from me. If you were looking for a professional intelligence brief, leave. So Dudley sent a link. He's like, maybe the reason the U.S. Army went into Afghanistan, or Iraq rather, was because, Iraq was Babylon back in the day, and they were looking for Nephilim DNA. And I'm like, maybe. But if the CIA can extract Nephilim DNA from giant bones and make new ones, let's get that old guy with the beard from Jurassic Park who has the mosquito in the amber, and let's make some new T-Rexes. I mean, if we're spending taxpayer dollars, right? War in Ukraine, T-Rexes. Gender studies for gay frogs in Alabama, T-Rexes. Like, let's make some T-Rexes, just let them loose. And this from now on will be how we decide our leadership in Washington. If you survive the T-Rex onslaught, you get a vote. If you don't, we don't have to worry about you because you are now a pile of T-Rex shit, right? Like one less thing to worry about. You know what I mean? This dude is a fraud, proud Babylonian. Oh, that's cool. Did I hurt your feelings, homie? Oh. Oh. Thanks, Badger. This dude's a fraud. Oh. Kiss my ass. So back to T-Rexes and the Fair Tax Bill. The Fair Tax Act, while likely doomed by a Democratic Senate and White House, represents the first serious challenge to the American tax code in recent memory. Versions of the act have been proposed since at least 1999. While it has never been voted on in the House, it has been endorsed by multiple Republican presidential candidates and Libertarian presidential candidate Gary Johnson, who was a horrendous candidate. The bill would overhaul the nation's entire tax code, scrapping all federal taxes in favor of the fair tax, the 23% national retail tax. Proponents argue that the 23% number is comparable to a 15% income tax plus the 7.65% payroll tax that employers pay. I realize most of y'all have zero compassion for your employer. You're just doing a job, right? Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I shit on company time. That kind of miserable attitude that gives you zero upward mobility inside of a good organization. Okay, good for you. You realize your employer is taxed on every dime they pay you? Yeah. Now, it might not matter to you, but it matters to a guy like me that has a couple dozen people on payroll. Every dime I pay out in payroll, I get taxed on. It's super fun. It's super duper duper fun. Also, IRS, kiss my ass. Did you know that my inventory is taxable as income? But also that if I sell it, then I pay taxes on the revenue that it produces? Do we double dip much? Where's the T-Rexes? Bring in the T-Rexes. In return, taxpayers would keep every cent of their paychecks and only pay taxes on the money they spend. That shift would have major and immediate consequences. Annual tax returns and W-2s would cease to exist. Yep, dig it. People who make their money on the black market would be taxed at the same rate as anyone else. The enormous compliance costs currently associated with filing one's annual taxes would be cut significantly. With only one tax and no deductions, the entire process of funding the government would be more precise and transparent, which is precisely why it'll never happen, because that would be bad for the dinosaurs that currently exist in Washington, aka our representatives. There are also trade-offs. For one, around 40% of American households currently pay no federal income taxes. Yeah, that pisses me off. Yet they get tax returns. How do you get a tax return when you didn't pay anything in? Oh, that's right, we took it from somebody else and gave it to you. That's basically communism. It's basically communism. It actually, now I know a lot of people are like dependent upon their tax returns. If you didn't pay any taxes, how did you get a tax return? Oh, well, we took it from somebody who had more money than I do. I thought you were an American, bro, not a communist. Go get more money if you need more money. Don't depend on the tax return. Well, Barry, you don't understand. I can't. Yeah, you're right. You can't. You're right. I definitely didn't grow up poor. As according to the real Babylonian or whatever his name is, I'm totally a fraud. I definitely didn't grow up poor. I've definitely not built multiple $1-million businesses in my life. I've definitely never been handed shit by anybody. Yeah, you know, definitely don't currently operate one of 5 businesses that has products on 4 continents in 3.5 years and has saved 61 lives to date with, you know, a couple dozen employees. Definitely not headed to SHOT Show in 3 days. Definitely don't have 2% of the global market share of the first aid kit market. Total fraud. Total fraud. I make up the sheep. The sheep are made up. They're the same AI generated, program as Jurassic Park is. Right? So how do you get a tax return if you don't pay taxes? You take it from somebody else. That's redistribution of wealth. Yeah, no thanks. Very un-American. So forgive me for not having compassion on the 40% of American households that currently pay no federal income taxes, yet get a tax return. Under a fair tax system, those households would marginally increase their take-home pay, but take it on the chin at the grocery store. to account for the regressive structure of pure consumption. Well, maybe you don't need a $1,000 cell phone then, right? Buy food instead. Maybe entry-level jobs are designed to be entry-level jobs, not forever jobs. Equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. United States. I don't know if you can tell, I'm all for the fair tax. This article goes on from here. You can find it at reason.com. And now people are going as far as to say, yeah, fair tax is cool, because they've already voted to defund the 87,000 agents, that IRS agents that have been added. Yeah, John C. said, I bust my ass and get $800 back, but my lazy ass neighbors don't work and get $10,000 to $12,000 back. That's exactly right. They take it out of your paycheck, homie. Super fair, right? So the fair tax, yeah, I'm for it, unless they do the typical Washington thing and slide a dozen other garbage pieces of legislation into it. But now people are talking straight up, like, just abolish the IRS, right? Because if we do with the fair tax, and we don't need, there's no federal income tax now, we don't need the IRS at all, which I'm all for. The bill's sponsor, Representative Earl Buddy Carter, R-Gah, Republican from Georgia, said instead of adding 87,000 new agents to weaponize the IRS against small business owners in middle America, that's no shit. This bill will eliminate the need for the department entirely. Abolishing the IRS is central to the fair tax supporters' message. The cover of the 2006's The Fair Tax Book featured the agency under a red circle slash. Oh, that sounds aggressive. You probably need to pay reparations to the IRS for that. Likelihood of fair tax going through, incredibly low, but I'm all for it. If only they put the ATF back under the IRS before they shut it down. That's a good word. But, oh, poor IRS. I know. I feel so bad for them. Bear independent bonus intel from the national level. There's a lot here. I'm going to try and fly through this. Most of this is on Patreon. And you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm not going to read all this word for word. Large R&D facility in Southwest Denver. FedEx is super backed up due to staffing shortages, like up to 9 days behind. XPO Logistics is their freight provider, meaning anything that needs to be put on a pallet and shipped within the United States. And they're incredibly behind schedule as well. They talk to management, and everybody within the company is aware. So they're trying to ship things ahead of schedule. But be aware, XPO Logistics and FedEx super duper behind. Another person said, just recently my coworker let me know that his grandfather is on the local fire board in the state of Colorado and was notified that there's an upcoming fuel shortage in the state. Remember that refinery fire that happened there a few weeks ago? His point writing in, or her point writing in here, is that they are warning state entities within the state of Colorado that there is a fuel shortage coming. So if you're in the state of Colorado, do prepper things, fill your cans, fill your vehicles, fill equipment, have stores. Go ahead and get that topped off, because this person said they have a feeling this isn't the only reason for this unannounced, air quote, shortage. So another person said that they know of a vehicle sales and repair company that's going to junkyards to buy replacement parts, meaning like used from a junkyard, not refurbished, due to supply chain issues, because it was going to be 6 months for them to get replacement parts. So make sure you got your warranty documentation on the spare parts you're getting. This one I'm going to read the entirety of, because this person has written in multiple times before, and there's really good information in here. I'm a medic in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, 25 years. I would like to give you a recent update. Over the last few months, I've given you updates in hopes that it will help the people take what's happening seriously. It does. It has. Please continue to write in. We appreciate you. I'm trying to stay optimistic, but things are getting worse. I worked on New Year's Eve this last year. Calgary has a population of 1.6 million. We're supposed to have 42 units on the street, ambulances. At our peak times, not including extra trucks for volume, we had 15 units on New Year's Eve. Let me put that into perspective. That's 110,000 people per ambulance. We're constantly in red alert with no ambulances available, so our SOPs are to pull in rural units to assist in volume. So over New Year's Eve, we had 0 units available from Edmonton south to the U.S. border. That's 386 miles with no ambulances, no units, which I hear is not uncommon from the superintendent. Spoke to a crew that was performing CPR for 45 minutes. Needless to say, it was unsuccessful. Personally witnessed a 92-year-old female with family present have their loved one pass away in a hallway at one of the hospitals. This is unbelievably difficult to manage psychologically, morally, ethically. In 25 years, I've never seen it this bad. Please tell the nation, this is no time for messing around. Get your house in order. Do training, medically, tactically, etc. 31 classes up at refugetraining.com right now. Right now. And if you're in Oklahoma, I will be yelling at you in February. Class dates to come. So get training medically, tactically, get out of debt. Time is rapidly running out. On a side note, about 6 years ago, we purchased a property 100 acres in northern Alberta, 9 hours away from Calgary. Rapidly working to relocate, building a cabin, clearing land, putting in a road. Everything is totally paid off, debt-free. So we'll be in a better place if when the system collapses. Once established, we're going to start a PTSD retreat for vets and first responders, a place to heal. I think that's awesome. And we've got a long update from California. Live in a town of about 2,500 people in Northern California. Last winter, they had a huge snowstorm which knocked out power for 15 square miles, closed down access for the road for more than a week. Without power for 23 days, everything stopped in the community. Biggest takeaway, have all of the food properly stored, all the fuel, propane, gas, lantern fuel, and wood, and all of the water, 3,000-gallon water storage tanks for family and animals. This summer, evacuated due to the mosquito fire, which was 3 miles from the house. Bugging out with a farm of 2,000 chickens and other livestock with a family of 6 was a mission. Key takeaways, your plans will take longer than you planned. Have established relationships and community to bug out to, and don't keep all of your eggs in one basket. Lastly, bugging out with a year's worth of grain in chest freezers is a pain in the ass. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's part of where you graduate to spider points, where you have a year of food here and a year of food there, and chest freezers there, and coolers here, and it pisses me off when people are like, "I'll never get to a year of food," and I'm like, "You're thinking too small." See, abnormal goals require abnormal work ethic, and surviving an event that is likely to kill 90% of people on the face of the earth is pretty abnormal. It's a statistical abnormality that you survive. But you want to do the bare minimum to get by. You don't want to put in the work and then sit around and bitch and complain about conspiracy theorists and politicians and all this other shit without doing the stuff that you need to do to accomplish that abnormal goal of surviving. Right? Survival is abnormal in a catastrophe. So it pisses me off when people are like, a year of food? I could never get a year of food. And like, yeah, you're right. You couldn't. It's like, I could never move out into the country. I'm like, son, I own land everywhere. Well, I could never do that. I grew up poor. I started this company with $1,000. Kiss my ass. You could never do it. You're right. You could never do it. You're right. You could never do it. Eggs are $5.58 in West Texas. Chickens are $3 at Outwoods. They make eggs. And you get enough chickens, you don't buy eggs anymore. You don't buy chickens anymore. You have chickens that make eggs, that make chickens, that make eggs, that make chickens, that make eggs, that make chickens, that make eggs. Mine are free, said Stephen. Exactly. Mine too. Current information, August 22, back to California. The Washington Post published an article regarding a mega flood in California. I run a small farm. Blah, 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 blah. In the mountains, we have constant rain, but due to natural drainage through creeks and rivers, I've not yet seen major issues. Power is intermittent, but when is it not? Locally, our stores are looking more and more barren than usual, as to be expected. The sheep are good, the chickens hate rain, the cows are indifferent, as are the kids. I'm keeping an eye on previous fire areas for mudslides, but none yet. Going into the Central Valley, flooding is severe. Farms are turned into rivers, and water drainage management is unable to keep up with anything. The farm in which I am currently partnered is devastated. I had to move animals off of pasture into orchard so that they had dry ground to stand on. It's going to be months before they can go back to their pastures. Have rain gear that works, not that you think that works, but works. Construction crews are stuck in Santa Barbara trying to make their way back north. The tunnels are closed, so they can't get home for the night. Have get home bags and common kit you will need to feed your face and wipe your ass. I spoke with my cousin who's in law enforcement, and he said, this sucks. 5 people have died as a result of these storms, and the outlook doesn't look good. I know people personally whose houses have flooded to over the sliding glass doors, and everything has been destroyed. Lesson, don't drive into moving water. More updates after the next wave. No TAM. I keep my plane in San Luis Airport. I spoke with my co-pilot this morning who is on his way tonight for training at the regionals. He hit the nail on the head. I woke up, got a cup of coffee, looked at the news, no TAM down, flights grounded, more flooding due, gas stoves potentially outlawed, the world is stupid, end quote. I've never heard of a no TAM system going down, and it has saved my ass in the air a couple of times through ForeFlight and satellite tracking. Key takeaway, praise the Father for strength in these times. Amen to that. And that's the brief. That's the Friday version of the brief. That's what we got. You boys and girls know the drill. If you want first aid kits that don't suck, that are made by real Americans in America, that will actually save your life, bless the Lord. Thank you for the $10 bill. Thank you very much. RefugeMedical.com. This is the bare fact. There are many like it, but this one is mine. They don't make a better kit, so stop whoring in Babylon, buying all the garbage from all these other companies. It's made in China, price point crap that doesn't work, and buy something that does. RefugeMedical.com. Okay, good talk. Already told you there's 31 classes up at RefugeTraining.com, so don't be an ass, come to class. Learn the fine art of how to not die. GrindstoneMinistries.com. If you think it's an abomination that there's children being serially raped right now by assholes and you'd like to do something about that, you can help us build Caleb House, which is our restoration facility for juvenile human trafficking survivors. And we take care of those kiddos forever if they want. We don't have a timeline on our program because I'm not going to tell a 4-year-old, hey, buddy, your 6 months is up. I hope you got your poop in a group. You're all rehabilitated, right? Okay, right. Good job. Okay, have a nice life. Bye. No, we don't do that. Average lifespan of somebody who's been trafficked is 7 years. Lifespan, 7 years. Trafficked at 13, dead at 20. Trafficked at 7, dead at 14. Trafficked at 3, dead at 10. We hate that shit. And we do everything we can to put a dent in those horrendous numbers and to put scumbags like that behind bars or in the dirt. So to the piece of shit that called me an imposter earlier, I would invite you to come see me because I would be happy to F you up face to face. Because I have the coolest job in the world. I get to do this. I get to run awesome companies with awesome people, meaningful work, meaningful relationships. I get to go on disaster deployments after hurricanes and tornadoes, and I get to rescue people. I get to beat the shit out of pieces of shit who hurt good people. And I love it. I'm going to do it forever and a day until the Father calls me home again. So, if you'd like to partner with that, GrindstoneMinistries.com. And of course, there are links in the description to everything. Patreon, Refuge, Medical, Refuge Training, Grindstone, Caleb House, long sleeves, t-shirts, and hoodies, and the Facts Not Feeling shirt from our brother Saw, all of which is available from SanctifiedSupplyCo.com. That leather bareback was mighty sexy. Zach, don't say that out loud to the general population. They didn't see it. That was on Patreon only. They're going to freak out now. They're going to freak out now. So, that being said, y'all have a happy Friday. I've got stuff to do. You will not see me next week. Or if you do, not in Brooklyn. So that's something to be aware of. I will be, I'm doing other stuff next week. It's not that I don't love y'all. It's just that I can't. It's not going to work. So, anywho, probably won't see me next week. I will continue to post the brief on Patreon as I usually do when I'm unable to do it in video form. Yeah. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Theo. Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.